Hi, everyone. Today we're going to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart. The secret to a loving relationship is many things depending on who you ask. Some say the secret is caring, some say it's respect, some say it's security, and some say it's good communication. And while all those things all help to build a successful, harmonious relationship, I personally believe kindness is the secret to a loving relationship. Before we begin, let's first define what kindness is. According to Wikipedia.org, kindness is a type of behavior marked by acts of generosity, consideration, or concern for others, without expecting praise or reward in return. I believe the level of love in our relationships is determined by the level of kindness we have for ourselves. Let me say this again. I believe the level of love in our relationships is determined by the level of kindness we have for ourselves. Many of us tend to blame our partners if they're mistreating us or if we feel unloved. Today, I would like to challenge us to consider the possibility that maybe it's our own lack of kindness to ourselves that may be attracting the unkindness from our partners. Or I'll even add that may be attracting unkind partners. You see, many of us go into a relationship with high expectations that our partners should treat us right and make us happy. That somehow we have put the responsibility on others and think that others exist to only benefit us. We think the world is our oyster, so to speak, and it revolves around us. It's a selfish attitude as well as foolish. And I say foolish because, unbeknownst to us, by we shifting the burden to others and making us happy, we have also given up our power to others in this mindset. Truthfully speaking, we are responsible for our own behaviors, and thus we are also responsible for our own happiness. If we are ready to take personal responsibility and your power back, then it's time to seek happiness from within. And happiness is what ultimately leads to kindness and a loving relationship. Okay, so I just want to stop right here real quick and just want to comment that I think many of us now. I don't want you guys to think that I'm excusing toxic behavior or destructive behavior or physical abuse or any kind of abuse. Okay, those things are not acceptable in a healthy relationship. But what I am saying here, it still comes down to us taking responsibility because we chose that relationship, we chose that partner, and somehow for some reason we attracted that partner into our lives, right? And then we accepted that partner. So I'm not excusing any kind of abuse or toxic behavior, but I am saying that we do have a part. We do need to take ownership of our part in attracting unhealthy relationships. Okay. Most of us don't really know what it takes to attract a loving partner and relationship. When we enter the dating scene, we have a list mile long of how our dream partner should be. We have all these high expectations of what we want in future relationships. Having a dream list is not necessarily a bad idea, but how are we to attract partners that match our dream list if we haven't spent the time necessary being understanding, loving, and kind to ourselves first? We cannot recognize kindness if we don't experience it within ourselves first. Being kind to ourselves is where it all starts. So, what does it look like to be kind to ourselves? There are 8 traits that are present when we are being kind to ourselves. They will be represented by the spelling of the word kindness. K for knowing of self. It's having the ability to know thyself first before getting to know our partners. It's recognizing and embracing our own sovereignty and practicing daily being kind to ourselves. It may mean taking time out to explore and find our identity by realizing our own worth, life's purpose, and core values. When we have done the inner work to know ourselves well, then we will always stay true to ourselves by allowing access to only those people who treat us with kindness and actions that align and serve our highest good. When we know ourselves well, we will love others from a position of strength while exercising tough love when needed without compromising our truth and well being. This knowing of self is honoring and being kind to ourselves always. Letter I for integrity. Having integrity is at the heart of being kind and true to ourselves. According to Wikipedia, integrity is the quality of being honest and having a consistent and uncompromising adherence to strong moral and ethical principles and values. Essentially, it's saying what we mean and doing what we say, or as the religious phrase says, to walk the talk. We all know of people who say one thing and then do another. They usually lack integrity and are the liars in this world who can't be trusted. Integrity is being authentic and expecting others to do the same. Many of us may find having integrity to be quite challenging, especially we people pleasers who spend most of our lives trying to please others by molding ourselves and accommodating others to the extent that we may lose our own identity in the process. The incessant need to get along and not make waves becomes our greatest betrayal to personal happiness because we compromise our integrity by not being true to ourselves. Embracing our sovereignty takes courage to stand strong and prioritize our own happiness above others. And sometimes staying true to ourselves and to our personal convictions means walking alone. Not everyone we meet has intentions that align with our highest good. There are times when staying true to ourselves may mean facing the wrath of others and releasing those people in our lives who don't share our core values and beliefs. It is only when we can be kind to ourselves that we are able to then be kind to others by loving them in a healthy way. When we are kind to ourselves, it becomes the benchmark of how we expect others to treat us as well. Let me say this again. It is only when we can be kind to ourselves that we are able to then be kind to others by loving them in a healthy way. When we are kind to ourselves, it becomes the benchmark of how we expect others to treat us as well. And so having personal integrity is key to kindness and loving relationships. And for Nietzsche, when we find our niche in this world, there's a sense of inner peace and a feeling of belonging. But how do we discover our niche? Our niche is like the missing piece of the puzzle that fulfills the passion in our hearts and gives our life meaning. Discovering our niche requires tapping into our own soul and fine-tuning to the music that makes our hearts sing. The place where our outer selves connect to our inner selves is where we discover our true passion, purpose, life, or life mission. Let me say this again. The place where our outer selves connect to our inner selves is where we discover our true passion, purpose, or life mission. For many of us, we are too busy and exhausted daily dealing with the chaos and distractions in our outer world that we don't have any extra time to tend to our inner world. Tending to our inner world means nourishing our souls and quieting our minds long enough so we can hear the music within our hearts. If we are not paying close attention, we can easily get distracted while the smaller inner voice within each of us gets drowned out and replaced by the noisy demands of the world, competing for our soul's attention. How then do we find our niche in this world? Finding our own niche is a process, and for some, it may be found sooner or later in life, and for others, it may take a lifetime or perhaps never at all. The first step to realizing our niche is choosing to intentionally live a life honoring our sovereignty. And honoring our sovereignty will depend on whether we are consciously aware of the possible emotional healing we need to do so that we can learn self-love and go through the process of self-discovery. So let me say this again. And honoring our sovereignty will depend on whether we are consciously aware of the possible emotional healing we need to do so we can learn self-love and go through the process of self-discovery. There are some of us who have built a wall around our hearts from many years of pain and betrayal throughout our lifetime that we have shut down and closed off our hearts to the world. And as a result, we live in a mental prison where our souls are trapped and we cannot give and receive love in a healthy way. Thus, it's important to free our souls by healing so that we can embrace the core and true essence of who we are. The core and true essence of who we are is love. Our souls only know love, and it's up to each of us to find the love from within so that we can share our love with the world. Through healing and self-discovery, we will find that our niche will align with our soul's purpose as well as ignite the passion within our hearts. And it's this passion that ultimately brings out kindness in us. D for discernment. Having discernment is having wisdom. I've always said that knowledge can be taught. However, discernment can only be experienced. Discernment is learning the lessons well through all of our life's challenging experiences. All challenges we face are opportunities for personal and or spiritual growth. Most of us learn wisdom the hard way, and that's okay. Even though learning the hard way is more painful, but sometimes it's the best way to learn because you won't forget the pain you went through. When we gain wisdom after healing, we learn to also forgive ourselves and forgive others. And it's through this act of forgiveness that brings us to a place of humility so we can embrace kindness. Taking ownership and personal responsibility makes you stronger and humble. On the contrary, when we don't heal and forgive, we get stuck in the attitude of victimhood, the woe me mentality, and we're not able to learn the wisdom to have discernment. People who don't have discernment will tend to never make apologies for their part, and instead will go through life with a lot of anger, blame, and resentment. True healing takes place when we can objectively look back one day and feel gratitude for the lessons learned. Let me say this again. True healing takes place when we can objectively look back one day and feel gratitude for the lessons learned. So it's important to always look for the silver linings in the clouds of life and to move forward with a renewed mind of discernment and a spirit of gratitude that ultimately leads to a heart of kindness. And for nurturing of self, being able to nurture ourselves and not depend on others so that we take full responsibility and control of our own emotional and physical well-being. This is all part of honoring our sovereignty. When we choose to nurture ourselves, we are on the path of being kind to ourselves. When we nurture ourselves daily, we will create a healthy pattern of loving ourselves and become the best version of ourselves. And most importantly, nurturing of self leads to the daily imprinting of kindness that is inherent in loving relationships. E for empathy. Having empathy is a key component to emotional intimacy and healthy, loving relationships. When we are empathetic, we have the ability to form healthy, loving relationships, to love ourselves and to love others. People who are empathetic are usually kind as well. According to Merriam-Webster Dictionary, according to Merriam.Webster.com, the word empathy is defined as the feeling that you understand and share another person's experiences and emotions, the ability to share someone else's feelings. This ties into what we just talked about regarding discernment. People who are empaths usually have a big heart. Their hearts are open to learning and gaining the wisdom to set boundaries that are necessary sometimes to protect ourselves from those who may not have our best interest at heart. So for those of us who are empaths, we know this is to be true. There is nothing wrong with being empathetic, but we need to have a healthy balance of loving others without losing ourselves or compromising our own well-being and happiness. Achieving this balance will help foster kindness for ourselves and for others. Letter S for self-care. Taking care and valuing our mental and physical health is all part of self-care. Show me someone who is kind, and that person will be kind to himself or herself as well. We can't give to others what we don't have within ourselves. For those of us who prioritize taking care of let me say this again, folks. For those of us who prioritize taking care of others above ourselves, we will realize it's not sustainable because we will eventually get burnt out. Even the strongest and fittest of us need time to rejuvenate, rest, and relax. Like everything else, living a balanced life is key. Living life to the extremes will lead to exhaustion and stress. And being under long-term stress could lead to mental and physical health consequences. Self-care will go a long way to maintaining a balanced life and kindness. Okay, last but not least, the letter S, again, for self-love. When we choose to love ourselves first, we are honoring our sovereignty. And just like self-care, the daily practice of self-love is all part of treating ourselves with kindness. We take responsibility for our own decisions and seek our own happiness from within. We intentionally strive to become the best version of ourselves so that we can show up with love and kindness to the world. And as we find our happiness from within, we become more protective of our peace, health, and heart. We learn to love ourselves to the extent that we only allow others who have our best interests at heart to have access to our life. Creating a life of self-love attracts people who align with our soul's purpose and core beliefs. Self-love sets the groundwork and foundation for kindness to flourish in a healthy and happy relationships. Thus, kindness is at the heart of a loving relationship. In summary, it is my sincere hope that we are all kind to ourselves and are in loving relationships. It's important to keep in mind that the key to a loving relationship begins with us. Loving relationships are not something that comes naturally or can be easily sustained long term without kindness. As discussed today, the 8 common traits that are seen in people who have kindness include K for knowing of self, knowing ourselves well before getting to know our partners. I for integrity. Having integrity is at the heart of being kind and true to ourselves. N for niche, finding our niche in this world. D for discernment. Having discernment is having wisdom. N, nurturing of self, being able to nurture ourselves. E is for empathy. Having empathy is a key component to emotional intimacy and relationships. The letter S for self-care, taking care of and valuing our mental and physical health. And last but not least, S for self-love. When we choose to love ourselves first, we are honoring our sovereignty. And finally, I just want to say, may we be blessed with relationships of love, and always remember that the secret to a loving relationship is kindness. Okay? So folks, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it gave you some food for thought. And I just want to say that this is not something that I think comes easy to all of us. I think most of us end up in relationships where we take each other for granted, and what's once started out as a loving relationship becomes a non-loving relationship. And to be honest, a lot of marriages end up where 2 people live like roommates, and that's not a good thing either. So I really think that if we can all somehow choose to practice kindness, that it will eventually definitely lead to a loving relationship. And at the end of the day, folks, isn't that what we all want in life? Life is just too short. There's so many challenges in things that come along in life that do require kindness. Everyone needs kindness in their lives. We all have enough stress. We all have enough arguments and disagreements and a lot of challenging bad things that are in our lives, and things happen too in life, right? So I think if we all can promise ourselves and start by practicing kindness, I think we will all find that we will end up transforming our relationships to a loving one. Okay? So folks, if you like this video, please click like and click share. If you have any comments or questions, please put them below. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you can be posted on all my future videos. Okay? So until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.